Welcome to the Slam Diego Show here on Roundtable with your hosts, as always, Hunter and Anthony. And Hunter, it could not have been a better week for the San Diego Padres. I don't know the next time we're going to be able to say that we can go a full week doing podcasts and the Padres have not lost a game during the season. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, dude, it was a great week to be a Padres fan. The boys are hot. We have 8 consecutive wins, back-to-back sweeps. A lot of things to unpack. A lot of really good things that me and Anthony are super excited to talk about and unfold. It was just an absolutely amazing week to be a Padres fan.
Yeah, a lot of use for the brooms this week, and hopefully, we can keep it up. Obviously, it's going to be a very tough matchup going into Anaheim this weekend, but we'll get to that later. But first things first, major news, generational changing news in the San Diego Padres organization is that they have sold Peter Seidler. As we remember, was a previous owner, unfortunately passed away. He had a great run with the team, probably one of the best runs, if not the best run in Padre history, really turning the team around. What was an $800 million investment sold to Chelsea co-owner Jose Feliciano and his wife for $3.9 billion.
So expensive, but I mean, it makes sense. This team, like we talked about the other time, we have sold out almost every single home game, if not every single home game. So, yes, it's a lot of money, but this is going to be a really good investment for them if they want to spend and they keep the stadium filled. Because if they continue to help the Padres stay competitive and on this trajectory, they can make that money back in, 5 years. So it really could be a good investment as long as they do the right thing as owners.
Yeah, it's one of the surest investments in the sport of baseball. And that was some of the things, like you mentioned, we've sold out every game pretty much to start this season. We've been top 5 in attendance the last 6 years going in a row, right? And it's a pretty competitive product you're putting on the field. So that shouldn't change as long as, they keep the same strategy going. Now, obviously, there's going to be changes at some points just because naturally a new owner is going to want to run things maybe a little bit differently. But the point is that this is a winning ball club that everyone in San Diego loves to see. And what's another nice point that is going to happen, because Jose Feliciano is not a San Diego guy. He's from Puerto Rico, which again there's plenty of baseball there. He's probably got baseball in his DNA. But the thing is that he is planning on moving a lot of his philanthropic efforts to the San Diego area, which is big because that means not only is he going to own the team, but he's going to be a major factor in the community, which is what you absolutely need to have as an owner of the San Diego Padres, because the Padres are the only sports team here. And I think with that, especially in a major market, you have a lot more you need to do as an owner and as a leader in the community than, let's say, you have a couple major sports there.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for these guys to be our owner because I've seen a lot of comments, and obviously I don't know if they're 100% trustworthy, but from what it seems like, Chelsea is a big spender, which is a good thing in this case because we don't want to be stuck in a situation where, we're like the Angels and our owners don't even care about winning. This is something that's super important because these owners are looking to win and looking to spend, which is going to keep our team competitive, obviously, and keep fans coming back, keep the stadium packed out. So, really cool to see this. Obviously, like you said, rest in peace to Peter Seidler. He probably did have the best run as a Padres owner that we've seen, but I'm super excited to step into this new, era of Chelsea co-owner and Jose and owning the team together. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and Peter Seidler changed the culture in San Diego, because before Peter Seidler, it was a team that obviously they had the run in the late 90s with Tony Gwynn and Trevor Hoffman and some of those guys that were excellent. But during those mid to late 2000s, there wasn't a ton happening, even though they did get the new ballpark. But Peter Seidler put the mission to win first. He turned the team around, made it competitive, made it exciting, and he put a great product that yielded him, if you do the math, a $3.1 billion profit. I mean, that is rare to see. And if you think about the way baseball teams are going, the last team that sold was the Mets to Steve Cohen in 2020. That sold for $2.4 billion. So if you think about it, this is nearly double the amount. And yes, the Padres they're not a New York team, but they're definitely one of the more exciting teams in baseball. So it's easy to see them yielding that much money for a sale. But baseball is, it's doing well if you think about it, right? Obviously, if teams were losing money and the sales were less, you would be worried. But this is a great era for baseball in that the fans are showing up and supporting the teams. mean, we just mentioned it last week with the City Connect stuff, is that the Padres, the fans set a new record, $1.1 billion in sales for that. So obviously the business side of it is a huge component, but really in San Diego, it's about what's happening on the field. And this past week has been as good as possible on the field in San Diego, starting with the game a week ago where they played against the Rockies, in which, again, we mentioned sweeps. Now, obviously, we talked about this series a little bit from the last podcast. We talked about the first two games, but this was the third game of the series, and it could have gone either way, especially looking at how this one started.
Yeah, so Yerman Marquez started this game for us on the bump. He unfortunately gave up a 2-run home run in the first to Mickey Moniak. So a rough start to come out of the gate. And then later in the third, as you see, they scored 2 more runs. He ended up giving up a solo shot to, I think it's Eduardo Julian, and then another solo shot to Mickey Moniak for his second home run in the game. So his final stat line was 5 innings pitched with 4 runs given up on 4 hits and 2 walks with 5 strikeouts. But ultimately, as we just said, the biggest problem was the home runs. 3 long balls is just not going to cut it. Obviously, that's just 3 pitch mistakes because you move those a little bit, they might not be home runs. The game is a lot different. So not too worried to see that. Yerman Marquez still going to be one of our guys. Still not a terrible start. Obviously, not his best stuff, but there's room for improvement for sure. But later in the game, I think we only gave up 1 more run, or was that it?
Yeah, in the 8th.
Yeah, that's right. In the 8th, Marinaccio comes in, I believe, and ended up giving up a run. But after that, Peralta came in for an inning and a third. He did have a walk, but ended up having 2 strikeouts, so really good. And sorry, Marinaccio, help me out. Marinaccio did not give up the run. Bradley Rodriguez did, and he ended up coming in again in the 9th after giving up the run in the 8th to finish his outing. He gets 2 outs immediately and then ends up loading the bases. So we pull him, and Jason Adam comes in and gets the final out, gets the save. So ultimately, besides the starting pitching, besides the start from Marquez, our pitching looked pretty solid. But ultimately, as we see, what won us this game is our offense had a really good day at the plate today.
And that's hopefully what's going to happen when you play the Rockies, right? They're not going to be the pitching star-studded staff. They might have a good lineup because that's where they play. And you mentioned, I think the Rockies do have a fun lineup. Edouard Julien, you don't have many French-Canadian baseball players. He is one of them. And he looked pretty good when he started with Minnesota a couple years ago. I'm surprised they let him go. And obviously, you see it here, hitting 344 so far up to the season with this game under his belt. But that's going to be a fun lineup in Colorado. And obviously, they can score. And unfortunately for German Marquez, who, again, going up against his former team, probably wants to pitch better than that, but they probably know him pretty well too. And it's great when you get 9 runs on 10 hits and you can win by 4 comfortably. Obviously, loading the bases in the top of the 9th, not great. But then Jason Adam gets to go into work and we can prove how good his high leverage situation is. But this was, again, a pivotal game in the series because now we won the series. And obviously you want to win the Sunday game, but it's like, okay, we took 3 from the Rockies. That's what good teams should do. And then you make it to Sunday, and it's more good stuff from the Padres.
Yeah, it's more great stuff from the Padres. I mean, a 7-2 win is always going to be pretty. Now, the sad part about this game is that Pivetta had a really good start going and did end up getting placed on the IL-15. He had 3 innings with 4 strikeouts, no hits. Like, he was perfect through the 3 with his 4 strikeouts. But unfortunately, they were talking about some form of elbow inflammation, and they did place him on the injured list because he came out of the game early with obviously that pain in his elbow. Now, Anthony was saying how he saw an interview, and what would you say, Anthony? He was very quick to not answer and to be.
Yeah, Nick Pivetta was asked post game about it, and it was hard to see because you could tell he was really holding back. You could tell he knew what was wrong, but he really didn't want to disclose it. So he was very dodgy in the way he answered it, and he gave responses like, "It's too early to tell. I don't know. It's just some soreness." And then eventually, we did find out a day later by Craig Stammen that it was a right flexor strain, which is not good at all. He's going to be out for weeks to months. So obviously you could tell Pivetta was very disappointed when it happened and he didn't want to let too much out of the bag. But in the way you could tell with the way he exited the game with the injury too, he knew right away something was wrong. It wasn't something like
Yeah.
the coaches came out to check on him and was like, no, I'm good. And then he tried to shoo him off. He left the field under his own volition and he pointed to the dugout that something was wrong. So it was definitely troubling to see. And that's really tough when your best pitcher goes down like that. I mean, he was our day one starter and he's been looking to be our day one starter throughout the season. Now, luckily, we got a lot of guys who we can pencil in. Obviously, today is his start day. And so we're going to pencil in a new guy who we'll get to later, very excited about. But you need Nick Pivetta in the starting rotation. And so that's going to be really tough. And it was nice to see, past him, they were able to pick him up in the game pitching wise, but that's how good our bullpen is. But yeah, not good stuff from Nick Pivetta. It's tough to see. And obviously, going back to the interview, he said he's not going to want to give out a lot. And obviously, you can understand the emotional aspect of it too, because you learn yourself you're going to be out for a while, and then you have to tell the public about it. That's a whole nother thing. So you feel for the guy, and obviously wish him a good road to recovery. He can get back sooner than later. But it's tough, and that's the human element of it, right? Because baseball can be such a cruel sport with injury.
Yeah, and honestly, the rest of the game looked pretty good from a pitching standpoint. Obviously, we did give up a 2-spot in the 5th. Kyle Hart came in right in after Pivetta left, and he got hot pretty quick. He had a really good first inning, just completely shut down. And then he came in the next inning and actually did start the 5th inning really well. He went strikeout against Hunter Goodman and then got a ground out, so immediately got 2 outs. Then, unfortunately, what caused them to score a run was a hit by pitch, and immediately after that was a walk. So now we have 2 runners on with 2 outs when that 3rd out is crucial to get without allowing those. And then Brett Sullivan comes up, who used to be a Padre, and he ended up hitting a 2 RBI double before we recorded the 3rd out. So that was their 2 runs, all because of a hit by pitch and a walk, which we've talked about wanting to limit our walks more. But other than that, he had a pretty good game. After that, David Morgan came in for an inning and 2/3. He only had 1 walk, no hits, and 4 strikeouts. So David Morgan looked really good, striking out 4 of the 6 batters he saw. He had a really good day on the bump. And then obviously you see we scored 7 runs. So again, our pitching did their job. Only giving up 2 runs in 9 innings is great. And we scored 7. I mean, you can see in that hit column, we had 10 hits and 6 walks. That's a lot of base runners. And obviously we did pretty good considering we had 16 base runners.
Yeah, 16 base runners is excellent. And then you only give up 2 hits. I mean, obviously we mentioned it, you want to give up less walks, but that's excellent. I mean, 2 hits for a pretty good lineup over there in the Rockies, who we saw who put up 9 hits the night before and were able to keep it going. You mentioned though, we do get 7 runs, and it's a better performance, but it's still 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position, leaving 7 on. So that's still kind of the crux of the whole season that continues to go. But when you're on an 8-game win streak, those things are going to be hush hush, right? Because it really doesn't matter if you're winning at the end of the day. But that's still something, again, we're going to continue to talk about until they can change it. And this game was not a good representation. But what was a good representation, Ty France going 3 for 3 on a Sunday. I mean, he's not from San Diego, but he did go to San Diego State. He's a California kid. Great to see him shine. I mean, this was his best performance of the season by far.
Yeah, totally. Really good to see. Obviously, you see Bryce Johnson coming in 0 for 3, unfortunate, but a fun stat is we are 4-0 when Bryce Johnson starts in the game. So he's undefeated as a starter, which is pretty cool, even though his average is 0.91, which is not the most pretty thing. But, hey, 4-0 as a starter, that's pretty cool. And then Freddie Fermin, 0 for 2, unfortunate. Honestly, what we've seen recently and that we'll continue to talk about over these next couple of games as we talk Campy has been hot, and that's one thing that I've written down that is notable. He has a 310 average and an 885 OPS right now. He's been hot, so I'm assuming we'll see more starts from him than Freddie Fermin as of right now, just because he's been so great at the plate. So as we get into this next game, this was a huge win for the Padres just to set this tone. I mean, we just swept. Now we're playing the Mariners, and we go straight back to business. 4-1 win. Obviously didn't score as many runs as we had been, but only giving up 1 run is amazing. And that was because Michael King had a beautiful start. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, gave up, 1 run, but he had 5 Ks. And the 1 run in the second was because back-to-back singles and then a hit by pitch. So bases loaded, no outs. We only give up a sac fly, and then he ends up getting out of it. So all things considered, that 1 run could have been a lot worse, and he ended up getting out of it with only 1 run. So really good performance from Michael King. And then after that, Morhone comes in for an inning, gets a strikeout, no runs. Jason Adam comes in for an inning, no runs. And then obviously Mason Miller closed it out, throwing his last inning and getting his 5th save and a strikeout. So pitching performance, amazing today.
And this is the recipe for how the Padres are going to win. We've been talking about it, off season, spring training, now the regular season. Pitch well, get a couple runs across. Now, obviously, 4 runs on 11 hits, that's great, but a lot of singles. I mean, you need to get more extra base hits than that. But still, this is the Padres' key to success, where you're going to pitch well, get a couple across. And this is a good team in the Mariners. Obviously, they're struggling to start the season too, but they've been pretty much on the verge of a playoff spot the last couple years in a row, led by their pitching staff. And obviously, they're probably not going to get another 60 homer season out of their catcher in Cal Raleigh. I mean, that was out of this world. But no, this was a great game by the Padres. And that's the thing, set the tone for the series. That's what you mentioned, Hunter, early, is that they had to set the tone, and that's what they did. And Bogey going 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs. I mean, it's a great day by Xander Bogaerts, who, again, he's up to 270 at this point, which is nice. We want to see him around there. And then obviously you've seen Laureano in the leadoff spot for a while now. I think Craig Stammen listens to this podcast, because we were talking about it earlier in the season, how we thought Ramon Laureano should be the leadoff guy, and he wasn't doing it. And then what was it the other day, Hunter, that he said he was pretty stupid for not putting him at leadoff, and now he's stuck at leadoff?
Yeah, basically he talked about how Ramon takes the most quality at bats and how he's going to be leading off for the time being, and how he was dumb to, hit him 7th or 8th in the lineup. So it's funny to see that even though Ramon in the couple, leadoff spot starts he did get, where he did, have not the best games, because we talked about the leadoff spot being cursed for the Padres for a little bit.
Right.
That Stammen didn't, fall under the pressure and continue to leave Laureano there. And now Laureano has been really hot from the leadoff spot. So, yeah, Craig Stammen said he's going to stay in the leadoff spot, which makes sense because, he's hitting 290 with a 355 on base percentage and a 551 slugging percentage and a 915 OPS. So he's been our most consistent hitter. He's probably been the best hitter on the team. He leads the team in almost every offensive category except average, which he's still hitting 290. So it totally makes sense for him to be leadoff, and I'm glad Craig Stammen realizes that.
But the thing is, if Campy keeps being hot, maybe you got to slide him up there one of these games, right? It's if he can get on base for you. Obviously, he's going to hit homers too, but Campy's been hot, like you mentioned, and we'll get to the next game where Campy has to come in for Freddie Fermin because Fermin gets hurt, and Campy I believe he hits a solo shot, right?
I believe so. And
yeah,
the funny thing about Campy is I actually like him in the 9-hole. Don't get me wrong. I understand he's hitting a lot better, but I think he's hitting a lot better because as the 9 spot, he's seeing a lot more fastballs and a lot less junk, because they're like, oh, he's the 9-hole hitter. But he has been crushing it in the 9-hole, and I don't want to see him in the 8th hole, because honestly, that's where you kind of put your worst hitter. So honestly, that's where I think Jake should be, because at least with the 9-hole, that flips over to the top of the lineup. Where most of the time, Jake Cronenworth hitting 160, that's not going to be something good to flip our lineup over. He's not going to get on base as much. Where Campy's hitting 300, so you put him in the 9-hole, he continues to see those fastballs, and he continues to get on base later in the games for Laureano or Merrill to come up when we need him to. So I really like him down in the bottom of the lineup. Now, obviously, if he continues to stay this way for a while, I could totally see him moving up into the 5-hole, the 6-hole, get him back into the middle of the lineup. But anyways, getting into this game, obviously, we scored 7 runs, but as you can see, that 5 were in the 9th. This was a crazy game. So let's start from the beginning. We gave up, 2 runs in the 2nd, in the 4th, and the 5th. So we gave up 6 pretty quick. And this was one of Randy Vasquez's starts. Obviously, this is his worst start of the season because he has been really good. He's been a really good pitcher for us, arguably our ace this season. But he went 4 innings on 5 hits and 4 walks. So way too many walks. Give up 4 runs. Did have 6 strikeouts, though. So the strikeouts were there. The only problem was he was just missing over the heart of the plate. The way they scored was we had 2 outs in the 2nd, but then a walk and a single led to base runners on, and then a Canzone double scored those 2. So that's a problem, walks. Then a leadoff double in the 4th, but then we get 2 outs, so we're going to leave him stranded. Then he goes back-to-back walks. So now bases are loaded with 2 outs, gives up a single. Luckily, it only scores 2. We get out of it without giving up any more. Then Marinaccio comes in, and he gives up that 2 home run to Luke Raley in the 5th inning to make it 6-0. So we're down 6-0, and it's looking pretty brutal. Now, luckily, we respond back in the 6th inning and we score 2. And then obviously we get into the bottom of the 9th and just some Padres magic happens.
Line to left, and is a fair ball! Down the left field line to the corner! Around from second base, Campusano. Laureano's coming around! Padres will walk it off! Merrill madness! Padres were down at one time 6 runs! Not anymore!
It's perfect.
Dude, what a call.
You can hear the fans.
Look at that. Look at that, dude. Everyone loves it.
And that's our manager right there.
It all started with a walk, then a double. And I'll tell you what, folks, the guys at Brown and Gold came up to the plate tonight and they battled. How close was it? On the paint, on the chalk. Can't find the handle. What a way to finish in downtown San Diego.
I mean, it's perfect, right? And obviously, Merrill walks it off, but he does have more heroics earlier in the game that you could say helped this game, especially with the walk-off.
Fly ball out to deep center field. Jackson Merrill on the warning track leaps and makes the catch again at the wall. To third base, tagging up is Raleigh. Merrill madness again in center field.
I love that look by J-Rod. Because Julio robs home runs for a living as well. And the respect there, like, you got me. I love it. But what's crazy is this is Jackie Robinson Day, obviously. And to honor the legacy and greatness that Jackie Robinson was, and everyone wears 42 on April 15th every year. It's a great day. But this was Jackson Merrill's day. I mean, he robs the homer. He walks it off on the bottom of the 9th to cap the 6-run comeback. I mean, this game was Jackson Merrill's performance. And you mentioned it late to get some pitching in the bullpen to keep it, and off of a poor Randy Vasquez start. But this is, I mean, going back to the stat line here, it's that bottom of the 9th with the 5 runs. And it's just crazy to think that Andres Munoz, who the former Padre, who has been so good and so dominant, just did not have it.
Yeah, dude. If we break down this bottom of the 9th, he replaces Gabe Spear. So he comes in the bottom of the 9th, ready to close the game out for the Mariners, hoping to be their 9th win. Starts with a walk. Manny Machado has a great at-bat. I believe there was 1 strike thrown that was borderline, and Manny obviously takes it and then ends up walking. So good at-bat for Manny. And then right after that, Gavin Sheets comes up, gets a double. Unfortunately, Castellanos does strike out after that, so 1 out. But then Ty France comes up, gets a single. So now Fernando Tatis is pinch hitting for Jake. He gets a sac fly. So at this point, we've scored 3 runs. So now it's 6-3. 2 outs, though. So we're down to 2 outs. Campy comes up, big spot. Singles on a sharp line drive to center. So Gavin Sheets scores, Ty France to third. So now it's 6-4. Then Laureano comes up and gets a flare single to left field, which Ty France scores on, and Campy goes to second. So now we have second and third, 2 outs, in a 2-2 count. So Jackson Merrill down to our last strike with 2 outs. But Jose Ferrer replaced Andres Munoz because obviously Munoz didn't have it. And then Merrill walks it off on that double that we watched. So a really clutch, like you said, this is the Jackson Merrill, like one of Jackson Merrill's games for sure. I mean, that home run technically ended up saving the game as we won by 1 run. But Merrill had the walk-off double. All things considered, this was a great team win from offensive standpoint. Coming back in the bottom of the 9th like that, I mean, just elite at-bats in the bottom of the 9th. Campy doing what he did with 2 outs to be able to move them into scoring position and score a run, huge. Tatis at least getting a run with his at bat. Ty France single and Sheets double. Like everyone coming together in that bottom of the ninth to really get that win. It's a hard thing to do when you're losing 6-2 in the bottom of the ninth. You kind of almost throw in the towel sometimes. Like some teams just don't even want to play anymore. They're like, oh, we lost. We get it. Especially with a great closer coming in. But this shows the fight that the Padres have and that they want to keep it going. And Merrill had some words for the reporter after the game. He was hyped up. He said, obviously, he used a different word, but he said, let's frickin' go San Diego, which has been huge since Jorge Alfaro was on the Padres. But, I mean, the fight that this team had and the chemistry that this team has, just elite because the crowd is going crazy. Obviously, it's a huge comeback, huge win. And ultimately, I believe this was our 7th win in a row. We now have 8. So this team is hot. The stadium's packed. The fans are loving it. It's an amazing time to be a Padres fan.
This is why they sell out every night for things like this. And you could hear it too in the, obviously it was a little extensive, but the clip of Jackson Merrill walking it off with the Don Orsillo call of the century. But then you had almost a full minute intermission there of just the sea of the crowd going crazy. I mean, that's what's so special about San Diego. That was April 15th, right? They haven't even they've played almost 20 games on the season, and it's a playoff atmosphere in April. I mean, that is something special you don't get anywhere else. Like, not to compare to the rival Dodgers, but Dodger Stadium doesn't get electric like that in April. Obviously, they do in the postseason, but it's like this is the Padre games live and die by every game. And when you're on an 8-game win streak with this kind of game a part of it, that is something else and something to be celebrated. And that's why it's so special.
Yeah. I 100% agree. I mean, there's people in the comments like, oh, you guys are celebrating over a win in April. It's like, you obviously just don't understand like the emotion side of baseball, because a 5-run comeback to continue a hot streak, 7 consecutive wins, like that's a big deal. Whether it's April, whether you're 10 games under 500, that's something super cool and worth celebrating. Like baseball is supposed to be fun. When you win a game, you're supposed to celebrate it, right? Like it's not like, oh yeah, we win another game. Like no, like go crazy. Like it's awesome, especially with this atmosphere in San Diego. Just an awesome win. This was a great game to watch, obviously. But as we move into Thursday was also an awesome win, only giving up 2 runs through 9, and Buehler had a really quality start. Buehler is one of the guys that we signed to a minor league deal that we didn't even know if he was going to fully make the rotation, and he has, and he's done a pretty decent job. Obviously, some not great starts, but a couple quality, and this one being one of them. 5 innings, only giving up 2 runs, but off 5 hits and a walk. So a couple of things to fix there. But he had 7 strikeouts, so his stuff is fully back. Like he is gross, and he is throwing good stuff. Just let a couple get over the heart of the plate. Ultimately, he got the win as we won 5-2. Morejon came in for an inning and 2/3 with 2 strikeouts. Adam came in again for an inning, no runs. And then Mason Miller, I mean, dude, it was scary. He came in to close the game with his 3 strikeouts on 14 pitches. I believe 9 of them were strikes, only 5 balls thrown. Like,
yep,
this dude is so good. He is so competitive when he comes to pitching. And it's ridiculous. I saw a stat. His average fastball velocity is 101.4. His OPS against, not average, OPS, on base plus slugging percentage against him is 101. His average fastball velocity is higher than the OPS against him. So
that's
some Mason Miller notables for you is this inning, he has 9.1 innings pitched. He's given up 1 hit, 1 walk with 23 strikeouts. He has faced 30 batters. 23 of them have struck out. Now, I can't do math that quick in my head, but that is almost an 80% strikeout rate. This dude is unbelievable and is easily the front runner for Cy Young right now. It's not even close. He is disgusting.
Well, I think one thing you forgot to mention too, I believe, is that all 3 strikeouts in this inning were looking. They weren't even swinging. I mean, the hitters just don't even know what's coming, which I couldn't tell you that level of dominance. Because at least, you throw hard, you put a Aroldis Chapman, you're getting the 102-mile-an-hour fastball head high. But with Mason Miller, you don't know if you're getting a backdoor, slider that's going to bite you, that looks like a fastball in the opponent's batter's box, but then to a lefty, it comes in strike 3. You don't know if you're getting 103 of the hands, but it's in the strike zone, strike 3, or you don't know if you're getting a changeup, which he doesn't throw as much, but still, there's no way to know what Mason Miller is going to throw. And even if you guess, you're going to guess wrong. Yeah. I'm curious. We gotta look this up. Who got the hit against him, right? Because that's got to be like the craziest thing ever so far this season to get a hit against Mason Miller.
If I remember correctly, it was when we played the Giants, and it was Luis Arias, which,
of course.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, no, that's just crazy. Yeah. And talk about Padre madness. I mean, you have Mason Miller doing his thing, but you have Jackson Merrill. I mean, what a shot. What a photograph. Crazy. I mean, obviously, we don't see who took the photograph. I'm sure someone very good at their job got this one. But the ball in the glove, looking over it, I mean, you could make this, a mural on the wall if you wanted, and it would still look as good. But the Padres have just been excellent. And one thing we didn't really get a ton to that was kind of interesting to start the week is that Fernando Tatis Jr. was playing second base.
Oh, yeah, totally. We kind of skipped over that. But he played second base for, I think, only 2 games. His offense, by the way, has been getting a lot better. We've been scoring a lot more runs because he's been an elite position in the 2-hole most of the time he's hitting. But, yeah, he's been playing second base. They said we wanted to give Xander Bogaerts a day off, so we moved Jake Cronenworth to short and moved Tatis into second base and then put Castellanos in right. Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, he played a great second base. He didn't get to make any crazy plays, but all the routine ones, he looked super comfortable. Obviously, he came up as a shortstop, so he should be comfortable. But it just goes to show how athletic Tatis is and how he's able to pretty much play any position on the field and still do great, amazing defense. So, I mean, it's really cool. Obviously, there's been some rumors, and Anthony even sent me a post that was talking about how they were trying to move Tatis around to different positions so he has more trade value because we might trade him, and I think that's ridiculous. I think it's a terrible take. I see no reason we would trade Tatis, especially right now when he's not doing as good as we know he can, especially since he's been getting hot and is on the come-up. So I see no reason to ever trade him, especially because we still have like him 7 years on his contract, and he's still an elite piece of our team. But, yeah, it's cool to see that he is able to move positions and still be so comfortable and still let his bat come alive. It honestly probably helped because Craig Stammen was quoted saying how he's smiling more and how he feels more energetic and electric playing second base. So maybe it's something that we see more from.
And what I like about it, too, is it's obviously for us, we just found out about it. But this was something they talked about in the offseason, too. And it was kind of the idea to incorporate, right, different guys getting days off. I'm sure eventually Machado likes to play 162, but I'm sure at some point he'll probably get a day and Cronenworth will slide over to third and you can put Fernando at second. But I think Fernando, what he likes is that really instant reaction where you have to instantly react because you don't have to think about it as much. Whereas in the outfield, you kind of got to, obviously you have to react, but you got to plan and the throw, and he's really good at it. But those instant reactions or those quick relays over to first, I mean, I think he had 1 double play in the series. He looked awesome at it. So, yeah. And yeah, those rumors about trading him, especially with the news dropping today that we have a new owner with fresh money, that's probably like the most ridiculous thing you could ever come up with. In a series and in a long line of potential ridiculous things you can come up with, that one takes the cake. And obviously, if it gets more ridiculous, we're not going to give air to it just because no reason to. But at least with this one and potential, especially knowing how aggressive AJ Preller is, the only way I could see Tatis leaving, which is very hard because he has made himself a model citizen of the San Diego area, we would have to get like Paul Skeens or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that in my mind, that would be the only way I could see it. And even with that, I still don't think the San Diego crowd would like that just because of how much we've taken in Tatis and love him. So that would be a hard one to see. But yeah, I mean, obviously he played it well and it was good to see. And it's been a great week for the Padres. I mean, is there anything else you want to get to as far as Padres excellence?
Yeah, I think noting that he has been heating up recently with his bat. This whole team has. I mean, over the 5 games we just talked about, we had a 9-5 win, a 7-2 win, 4-1 win, 7-6 win, and a 5-2 win. So over 5 games, we scored 32 runs. We're averaging more than 6 runs a game, which is absolutely amazing to see. And we're averaging less than 3 runs given up per game. So it's really good to see. I mean, our team has been really great. Our bullpen, for the most part, has still been absolutely locked down. And our starters have been getting us quality starts, which is what we need to win, clearly. But our bats have been hot. And I think something that's really notable to come from our hitting standpoint is that Andujar has been coming alive. in the last 7 games, he's 7 for 21. So obviously hitting .333. And in the last 2 games, he's 2 for 4 with an RBI in each. So he's been playing a crucial role in the middle/bottom of our lineup. And it's really good to see. I mean, obviously, all the bats have been getting pretty hot. Everyone's been hitting pretty well recently in these last 5 games, like we talked about. Everyone's been playing a major role. But I think something that's super important to note is Laureano has been doing great from the leadoff spot after a couple cold starts in the leadoff spot. So that's been really good to see. Tatis has been doing really good and getting hot. Same thing with Merrill. And then seeing Campy become really hot and keep the bottom of the lineup going. And then, like I just said, Andujar. I mean, this team has been really good offensively, and it's really great to see, especially like we talked about when some of them, are in the later ends of the game. We like to go out and get zeros early and then score early, but sometimes that's just not going to happen. And this team just didn't give up. We had fight, and we ended up scoring plenty of runs in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. So really good offensive from this team this past week, and I want to see it keep going.
And you need all those things to be firing on full cylinders to win 8 in a row, go 11 of your last 12. And that's the thing is we're so early in the season. It's really impressive with the new manager to see that success hit so early, right? Because that's not something you're expecting. You're expecting, to oil out the kinks, to figure out what the problems are, to get them, and maybe second half of the season get a late rally because everyone's figured it out. But no, Craig Stammen's come in. I mean, obviously, it's a lot of the same pieces around him. I mean, new hitting coach, but it's still Ruben Niebla leading the charge with the pitching, which is why we've been so good. And we've mentioned it, Craig Stammen's the current manager, but it really feels like this is the setup for Ruben Niebla to eventually take charge and be able to do that for a long period of time. But no, it's great. And it's going to be a really tough series for them this weekend to keep the winning streak going. I hope they do it just because obviously we're chasing the record of 14 games and we would love to get that. But I think there's going to be a good litmus test because the Angels are a team kind of like the Padres where they have a lot of fight. If you saw what they just did to the Yankees, where obviously they blew 2 of the 4 games with their bullpen late in it, which the Padres are good at exposing. That's what they did against the Mariners. But we'll see what happens in Anaheim. And obviously we got Matt Waldron on the mound going tonight in the spot for Nick Pivetta, and that's going to be really fun. I'm super excited to see the knuckleball back. It was funny because actually it was, what are we, 2026? It was 2 years ago where I actually went out to Angel Stadium to go watch Matt Waldron pitch because I am such a fan of the knuckleball. So I'm really excited to see what he's able to do, and we'll see what the Padres can keep going with.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, he's looked pretty good in the minors from what I've seen. He's been doing quality stuff in AAA, so obviously bringing him up for Pivetta makes sense as he's our best option as of now with Canning still injured. But I'm excited to see what we do against this Angels team. We haven't seen like an ace necessarily. Brian Wu, obviously we faced, but we did score 4 against him, so we did pretty good there. But Soriano has given up 1 run all year, and we got to face him tomorrow to keep a win streak going. So it's going to be really exciting. But I think what we do is we tip our cap to Steven Souza Jr. I mean, it's our new hitting coach, and we kind of doubted him at first, if I'm going to be honest. We were hitting, I believe, 190 with runners in scoring position to start the season. And after the past week and a half, it's up to 250. So significant growth there. Obviously, something's changed. Obviously, he's helping in some way, shape, or form. But, I mean, our offense has been great. So I'm really excited to hopefully expose, this Angels pitching. Obviously, Soriano is doing amazing, but hoping we can get at least 2, maybe 3 runs off of him and just end up winning the series at best, sweeping them and continuing the win streak. So obviously, if we break that win streak, it's a bummer, but we're looking to win every series we play. That's obviously the main goal. So continuing the win streak is a priority, but our biggest priority is winning the series and continuing and staying. Technically, we have the second best record in baseball. So hopefully get that number 1 spot and take that NL West from the Dodgers.
And that's what sucks is that the best record in baseball, no matter how good we do in our last 11 of 12 or 8 in a row, it's still the Dodgers. And I think I saw it yesterday. They have a run differential of plus 46 this early in the season. It's just the most ridiculous number you can see, which is why even though it's going to be very fun when they come down to Petco and hopefully we can show up and show out and play well, we're still pretty much going to, in my mind, be at least a playoff team. If the Dodgers can win 160 games and we can still take the top wild card spot and then beat them in the divisional round. So there's still different ways to go about it. But yeah, that's a bummer that the Dodgers are doing so good. But we'll be here to talk about it next week about what happens with the Angels series and past that. And hopefully the Padres continue at the very least playing well. Obviously, not every game they play well is going to result in a win. Sometimes you have to. We tipped our cap to Steven Souza Jr. Sometimes you got to tip your cap to other teams if they do certain things in certain crazy spots. So we'll see what happens. But hopefully the Padres continue to do well, win baseball games, play well, show up, show out, do everything they need to do. And hopefully in the first week of new ownership, even though they haven't officially announced it yet, we can show up for the new owner. That'll do it for this week's episode of the Slam Diego Show, episode 31 already. And we will be here next week talking more Padres baseball. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, take care.